The big story on social media and in the news over the last few days was the announcement by the central bank that it will restrict foreign exchange from the government side on those who want to do import of milk. The central bank governor says it's taken about 3 years plus having discussions with some of the milk producers in the country to start backward integration. And there have been quite a lot of reactions to these latest policies, and folks who believe, well, this is the way to go. Some believe, well, we should wait a little bit until we have a sustainable quantity of locally produced milk, then we can handle it. So what do we fix these imports and smuggling, and how to fix the pastoralist conflict that's beginning to take a very big toll on the country's economy, including lives of people? Let's talk to Muhammadu Abubakar, who is the president of the Commercial Dairy Ranchers Association of Nigeria, and he has his operations into local dairy production in Kano State, northern Nigeria. He's live here with us in the studios. Good morning. It's good to have you here, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Let me ask you very simply, within the few minutes we have to discuss this, what your take really is on this announcement by the central bank on restricting FX for milk imports.
I think it's a step in a 1 million miles journey, I must say. We need actually a robust policy to bring about the backward integration, which is necessary for dairy development in our country. For an agency like CBN to now intervene, if you like, with the monetary policy to guide us into that direction, I think it's a welcome development.
You said it's one step in a mile journey.
Yeah.
So you think you think we need more than this pronouncement or FX restriction by the central bank? Is that what you mean by that statement?
Of course, we need a complete re-engineering of the policy on dairy development. As I always say, that if you look at other countries, they have dairy development policy, and Nigeria, we ought to have one. And I know we're in talk as an association with the Federal Ministry of Industries and Investment, and also with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. But we've not gone far yet, and we hope we'll be able to get that. So you see, the policy actually encompasses almost everything. We'll talk of regulation, regulatory activities in terms of what type of milk are we supposed to bring into the country for us to consume. And then we'll also look at how do we encourage imports of inputs in terms of equipment, in terms of upgrade facilities of our cattle, of our local cattle. We also have to look at what kind of incentives do we need to provide for investment in the midstream sector of the industry. Because we have been talking about improving our cattle, or we're talking about getting our cattle to produce more milk. This is all upstream issues. And we have a very good downstream industry. We have the processors, the multinationals. We love milk in Nigeria. We have the evaporated milk. We have the powdered milk. We are used to all this thing. But what is missing is to bring the local raw material of milk to these processors. And this cannot, so we have the producers upstream, we have the processors downstream, but we don't have the linkage, which is the midstream. And this constitutes the milk collection facilities. It constitutes the cold storage infrastructure. It constitutes the vehicle that will convey the raw material to the processor in hygienic condition and in a wholesome condition as well. So this is what is like. And so to incentivize investment in an investor, either direct foreign investor or a local investor, needs to guarantee market of his product when he invests. As it is today, I don't think anybody in his right senses will go into investment into local dairy in the midstream aspect of the value chain, because you are not guaranteed offtake by the processors, because the processors are guaranteed raw material from through imports. So a whole gamut of activities need to be done, which includes even the review of the tariff regime to make sure that whenever the foreign raw material arrives our shores, before it gets into the country, it's now at a level playing ground with the local producer. For instance, now we produce a liter of we produce locally a liter of milk at about 300 naira. When you import the same milk, it's cost you about 120 naira. Look at the difference. So how do we compete? We're not saying that we should involve protectionism policies. No. But what we are saying is provide a play level ground between the foreign dairy farmers and Nigerian dairy farmers. And there must be a net, a sieve, through which when their product comes, it should be sieved to make sure that it arrives in our own country at the same, if you like, cost with our own product.
This is your industry, and I want you to pin it down to just 1, 2, or 3 issues. What are the biggest challenges that you local dairy farmers and producers have?
Our ability to access the mass market. If you are a dairy producer in Nigeria today, you can only go to the niche. You can only go to the niche market, the premium. You can only go into the premium market of fresh milk or yogurt that sells higher. You can't access the mass market because the mass market is controlled by imports. So the niche market is margin driven. So there's a limit to which you can drive such a market. The mass market is where you talk of volume that you can't access.
That's where you have the big multinational milk companies.
Exactly. That's where they are the major players.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can't go there until and what we're asking is let them backward integrate into receiving local raw materials. Once and it doesn't have to happen immediately. There are low hanging fruit in these areas, which we can easily identify and then key into. You understand? And what I'm seeing is a situation where there's a collaboration between local producers and the multinationals and come up with an import substitution strategy. It has happened in India. It's working. The white revolution. It took some years. So this is not something that can happen. But along the way, there are low-hanging fruits that will benefit both the importers and the local producers. All we need to do is let's agree. Let's agree. For instance, when the CBN policy comes, let's all agree that it's a good policy to encourage backward integration. So instead of now shooting it before it's even tried, let's support it. Let's give it all ours.
So to try to break it down for everyone, our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. So technically, the market is in the niche market, up, and then you have the mass market at the bottom,
exactly.
Which is the retail milk,
yes.
where the big companies
exactly.
do, and they're largely importing.
Exactly.
The upper end is where local operators like yourself
exactly.
are, which is very small,
exactly.
and your margin is very, very, very small.
Yeah, the margin is good. You understand? The magic is good, but it's a small market. So and we have a lot of players in it.
In that place. So
almost all the local operators operate with it, and we're just less than 1%. You can't believe it.
Of the total market size.
Exactly.
So the new central bank FX restriction is for the few companies that hold 99% of the milk market in Nigeria.
To backward integrate.
So they are raw material.
Exactly. That's just it. So when they integrate, then the local producers will not only look at them, they can access the mass market through the multinationals. Because these multinationals have raw materials and they import their raw materials. So instead of importing, they need to come up with a strategy of reducing the import. For instance, if you have an import substitution program that you say, okay, you start 20% of your the local input should be 20% in the first 2 years. In the next 3 years, 30%. And then demonstrate some level of backward integration to show the commitment of your company in sourcing locally. So this is the way to go. But this, as I said, is hopefully going to be addressed by the policy that might likely come. But the CBN intervention is just an intervention. I think it's a monetary policy intervention to support the local dairy development.
Let's bring the small glass into this, because the large multinationals are legitimate business industries and they're paying tax to the government.
Definitely.
And all of that, including those of you who are also working locally. But we have the smugglers who are the third peg of this entire tripod, who are not neither left or right, but they're in the middle, smuggling goods in. How do you think we should fix this? Do you think we have policies? Is your discussion with the Ministry of Trade and Industry? I'm sure you continue under the new minister, whenever that comes, whoever that is comes in, to fix this issue. How are you looking at it? Maybe do you need to talk to customs? What are you working on?
Yeah. You see, it's twofold actually. There's the input for local, the machinery importation for local production, and there's the dairy import for the multinationals, if you like. Let's look at the duty scenario, the duty regime now. If you want to import a dairy production equipment now, I have done that severally, and all this I have paid duty of about 20%. But if you want to import dairy products, you will pay about 5 to 10% duty. So technically, you are encouraged to import dairy products and discouraged to import equipment to process local to process locally. But if you go to the books, you'll find out that no, this dairy equipment falls under agri equipment, which is supposed to attract 0% duty. Then why is it not implemented? Because the HS code is not very, very clear about it. So then you will have confusion. For instance, if you say cold room, it can serve dairy, it can be brought in to serve beverage, it can be brought in to serve something. So you can't go and import cold room and say it's for dairy, and the customs will not say, okay, it's dairy, you pay 0 duty. The first instinct of customs is to say, no, as far as they're concerned, cold room is for this purpose, so it's attract 20%. So the HS code has to be very clear, so that ab initio, it will be very clear to you that you are bringing dairy equipment and you know you're going to pay 0% duty.
A final thought is, do you think what you're discussing with the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Trade, as well as Ministry of Agriculture, and of course with the Central Bank, could help us resolve this pastoralist crisis in the country?
Of course, that's the ultimate solution. I feel there are various fronts to confront this war, if you like. There's the military and there is the commercial. We as business people look at it as there's a commercial solution to it. If you're able to, we've demonstrated it. Some of our members have demonstrated that in our own farms. We organize these pastoralists into cooperatives and we evacuate milk from them on a daily basis. And they've decided not to move around because once the market of their product is guaranteed, then they may not likely want to wander around grazing their cattle. But the cost to this is once they station this cattle, then it means the cost of production becomes much higher. So if at this level they are producing about 300, you can imagine when they ranch the cattle, it's going to skyrocket, and the cost is going to be unbearable. But if we collect, even if it is at a higher rate, and we're able to get the market to get our products too, then at least we'll continue to evacuate. As it is today, we have brought some of these pastoralists into cooperatives and we evacuate milk, but there's a limit to which we can evacuate the milk because the market can absorb only for our premium products. But if we can access the mass market, for instance, we can now aggregate, and then when we aggregate, we can take it to multinationals. They produce liters in millions. Mind you, the argument sometimes is, do we have the numbers? Yes, we do. We have about, as at 99 census, 20 million cattle head in Nigeria. So if you look at quarter of that, which is 5 million, and you assume going by the average milk yield per station in Nigeria, you say, okay, 2-3 liters per head of an animal, then you're talking about 5 million times 3. You're talking about 10 to 15 million liters a day. And the consumption average daily of dairy products in Nigeria is just about 5 million. So what is happening? We even have access that will go to West. But you can't see it on the table because until it is harnessed and taken to the processing center, then only it will reach you. But it's not, because it's easier always to reconstitute dry product because it's easy to store, it's easy to handle. So so policies is what will push the major players to backward integrate and make use of that. And this will lead to investment in the midstream because there's going to be good return on investment.
Muhammad Abubakar, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We appreciate your coming to speak on this issue to us. He's the president of the Commercial Dairy Operators in Nigeria. Is based in Kano State.